I got into landscape photography back in 2021 purely on a whim. I already owned a cheap DSLR, I had done for many years, but I'd never bothered to really learn how to use it. It was just a different device to taking standard photos with. In 2021, just after the pandemic, I took a trip down to Cornwall and at the very last minute decided to take that camera with me. Little did I realise at the time what that sliding doors moment was going to have for me and my life ever since. It's ironic really, because that was the trip that got me hooked. I still remember to this day making the 5-hour trip home, determined to learn everything that I could about photography. That was 5 years ago now, and I still make mistakes when I'm out on location, but it doesn't matter. I still frustratingly do something. I'll see something in an image from a trip out on a day like today, and I'll question my thinking. I've always been someone that'll be brutally honest with themselves. Not in a negative way, but I always joke that I don't need critics because I'll always be my harshest one. One opinion that I've always had is I don't honestly think I'm ever going to be good enough to be a professional photographer. That's okay though. Don't mind that. I'm quite happy just being a hobby photographer. I can get out, I can go where I want, I can shoot whatever it is that I want. I guess one question that I've always had for myself is why didn't I get into photography sooner? I think that's one of my biggest regrets in life, but hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? I spent my 20s going travelling each summer, going on city breaks around Europe. I've got fond memories via images from trips to New Zealand and the likes of Switzerland. So my love of taking photos, it's always been there. I guess one question, why am I happy as a hobby photographer? I guess anyone would love to have a career in photography if they enjoy it. It's a great way to combine doing what you get to do in your free time and you get paid for it. What could be better? However, one of my favourite sayings in terms of my career choices over the years is the grass, it's not always greener. I'm sure being a professional photographer sounds great on the surface. Going out with the camera, being outdoors, being out in nature. I talk a lot about how being out in nature really calms me, how I find it so relaxing for my mental health. What could be better than having a career that allows me to combine all of that? However, would being a professional photographer be that great. After all, if I'm working for a company, I'm being sent out potentially to shoot things that they want me to capture, not necessarily what I want to capture. What I love is the fact that one week I can be out on the coast. Last week I was up walking the streets of London. This week I'm out in the countryside, I'm walking in the woodland. I can get out, I can go where I want, I can shoot what I want, and there's no restrictions on being a hobby photographer in that sense, in that regard. Photography, after all, is an art form. It's about getting out, seeing what you can find, and having that creative license to put your own stamp on something. If I'm not working for myself, how can I find the beauty in something that I don't necessarily want to shoot? I guess the alternative option is I could become a freelance landscape photographer. Go out where I want, when I want, go car camping to far-fledged places, test my limits. However, going freelance, that brings with it its own risks. What happens if the images that I produce, they don't sell? There's that added pressure, because there's the question of needing an income purely to survive. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about those risks because I don't foresee it ever happening. I don't think I've got the courage to ever be a full-time freelance landscape photographer. I don't think I'd ever want the safety net of a steady income being pulled out from under my feet. And if I'm being honest, I think landscape photography, out of all the photography aspects, I think it's one of the most deeply saturated. I mean, anyone with a camera, anyone with a smartphone can get out and do exactly what it is that I'm doing. No, you know what? I think a career in landscape photography, for anyone, in my opinion, that ship's long sailed. Of course, the beauty of this type of photography, being a hobby photographer, means that, like I've said, I can get out where I want. I can shoot whatever it is that I want, all within reason, of course. And if I'm ever struggling with motivation, if I'm not feeling great, I can take a week off. There's no risk of this turning into a labour of love. And I think that's the thing. If I turn this into a career, I could turn this into something I absolutely hated. And I'd hate to lose all the fun and enjoyment I've had ever since getting hooked back on a Cornish coast in 2021. And to develop a hatred, I think that would be the real disappointment.